Kamala was asked, what would you do different if you were president, or if you become president on the next election? And she said she wouldn't change anything. All right, we're live.
All right.
So we were just talking about there's some kind of protest going on in the Trump Tower today.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody got arrested, but they were basically taking up the lobby area, and they have their signs saying like fascist and Nazi and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, that's we got the anti-Trump movement. You know, the it seems like pretty much any statement people want to make nowadays is like, let's just go block this service, or let's just go block this road or whatever. In some form of like cancel culture, which hopefully we're going away from this kind of stuff. But yeah, and then thinking of these protests, it really takes me back to, was it 2020, the George Floyd?
Yeah, it's 2020.
That's when stuff really started going, right.
Well, yeah,
I
the
mean,
Black Lives Matter movement.
yeah, Black Lives Matter, and it's just just chaos.
Well,
We got people looting, burning, basically just full on riots, like burning down
mm-hmm.
towns, businesses. I mean, people's livelihoods.
Well, so let's get to it. So, what do you think about cops, and in the sense, do cops have the racial profile to be good at their job?
I mean, if we're talking about the George Floyd thing,
No, just
that
in
wasn't,
just in general.
profiling. But in general, I think that, and I'm white male, right? Middle age, I guess, but I don't know, young to middle age, white male, and I think that cops will assess the situation and also respond to calls based off of information that's limited.
No, that's not what I'm saying. To be a good cop, do you have to racial profile?
I don't think you necessarily have to racial profile,
I disagree with you.
but I do think stereotypes exist for a reason,
Sure. I mean, go ahead. Actually, let's hear this. So,
Yeah, no pressure. Yeah,
what I'm saying is,
I think for cops to do their job,
yeah,
they have limited information. They have to make very quick decisions, and they have to make sure that they're safe. They have to try to keep whoever they're dealing with safe, even if that person shot at them. They have to get over that and render aid to them if they are incapacitated in any way. I think there's not just white males as cops, right? There's every race, every thing with cops.
mm-hmm.
And politics have definitely exaggerated exaggerated and lie about stats for who the quote unquote victims are, right? So if you look at the amount of deaths there are by cops to civilians, there's actually a lot more whites that are injured or die from a cop.
Really?
Every time we hear about, or every time there's something that happens with generally black, let's just put it out there, right? It seems to get proliferated on the media, and just there's so much traction behind social media, and everybody's got their feelings in it, and
Yeah.
cops are evil, this and that. But they're when the shoe's on the other foot, you don't get all this kind of stuff. Especially if it's a white person, it's actually mocked as, oh, there's another whitey shooting up a place, when it's actually on the other side, like when a black person or like Muslim person, Indian or whatever, goes and does some tragic thing, it's actually kind of censored. They really try to paint a picture for everybody to go with.
So, yeah, I mean, so you would say cops can be a good cop without racial profiling?
I think that they can be good cops. I don't think it would be purely racial. Um, but I do think, again, stereotypes exist for a reason, and depending on the location you're at, if
What do you think racial profiling is?
color of the skin, you just see anything that, I guess, in today's standard, anything that's not white would be racial profiling.
Well, I guess what I'm getting at, because I disagree with you, I do think you do have to racial profile to be a good cop. And let's say I'm a gang cop or a task force or whatever. In my city, they call them Blue Dragons. But obviously, if I see a car with a bunch of dudes with bandanas on their head or whatever, I'm gonna probably assume they're a gang affiliated or something. You know what I'm saying? You always racial profile.
But that's clothing. That's not the race.
What do cops do? When they're
Well, profiling.
I'm just saying profiling.
Profiling in general.
Racial profiling too. Yes. If I see, yeah. I mean, if you.
So you see a black guy in a business suit in a
so-
Rolls Royce driving down the freeway. You pull his ass over. Get out of the car.
All right. So then you are technically right, sir. Okay. So it's not racial profiling because obviously if you see a bunch of white guys with bandanas, then yeah, okay, they're probably gang affiliated. So I guess profiling then would be the correct term to use.
Okay.
So yes.
Words matter, everybody.
So profiling, you have to profile people. You are going to stereotype people.
Then again.
How could you do your job?
Say, well, I don't know. You see a bunch of people with bandanas on their head. Well, are they just get done with a workout? They in a construction site?
Sure. I mean, it doesn't mean.
Do they have a Glock hanging through, over their waist belt?
It does not mean that they're bad people or they're doing something bad, but it definitely makes. There's going to be a thought there that says, "Oh yeah, I got to watch out for that."
So
you know what I mean?
Okay, so let's give this to the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, audience. You see two white guys here talking about this kind of a thing. So you live in the city or you live wherever you're at. You can't use your car right now. You just leave the gym or you just leave the grocery store, and you have to walk home. You see a tall figure that's not the same race as you, and they might be wearing things that might be synonymous with, being a lowlife or a thug or whatever. Do you grab your purse? Do you pick up your speed? Do you cross the street? Do you make sure you guys don't cross paths or whatever? I feel like everybody can say that they will assess the situation and figure out what the risk is, and sometimes the risk might be in their mind more than the actual scenario. But when we're talking about cops and profiling, they have to assess the risk, and if somebody's, like you're saying, wearing bandanas, and it sounds silly if they're just wearing bandanas, but that kind of there's a whole theme there when they're wearing bandanas and other stuff, right? But I feel like they need to, and if they don't, then they probably put themselves at risk.
So you would agree that cops do have to profile?
I think to an extent, I think on either side of the spectrum, you're going to have your bad apples that, depending on what the cop is, black, white, whatever.
Well, obviously, look at George Floyd. We just brought that up not that long ago. Clearly, those are bad cops, right?
Are they bad cops?
100%.
Based on what?
Did you not see it?
I think everybody saw it, but how is that cop a bad cop?
Bro, the dude was asking for his life, and
he couldn't breathe. He couldn't breathe when he was in the car.
Yeah,
a lot of people that are dealing with law enforcement, especially when they're under drugs or whatever, they say they can't breathe just to try to get some kind of control back, or just because they are having a panic attack or whatever, right? But he couldn't breathe
Okay,
ahead of
so
time.
I'll be clear. I have not seen the George Floyd video probably since 20 when everybody else saw it.
Yeah.
But from when I remember, like the dude couldn't breathe, and they were still on him. Like, from what I remember, it was bad. The cops were bad cops.
I remember I lived in my condo when that happened.
I'm about to make you watch the video right now because I'm pretty sure you're tripping right now.
No,
dude.
you're wrong.
So you really are defending the cops right now?
I will say that cop has a bad rapport, or rap sheet, I should say.
Yeah.
But I think that being put in that situation caused the fentanyl overload and stress on the system. It exaggerated his symptoms to where he wasn't able to breathe. And I think that could have happened with or without the cop on his chest. I didn't seen the different angles, which we didn't see the really good angle till later on in the whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't on his neck. He was on like the middle, like kind of where the shoulder blade is, and then spine, like somewhere around there.
I gotta rewatch it.
Yeah, and I'm not a, I'm not a law enforcement, not a lawyer or anything like that. But
Yeah.
just because he's black doesn't mean that cop was evil because the cop was white. Now, I will say, when I first saw the video, especially the video of the bystander screaming on the sidewalk, if I remember right, I was actually getting ready for work or something, and I remember watching that video. My wife was in the bathroom, and I just get done watching the video. I think it's like 2 minutes long or something, and I'm like, oh shit, babe, this is bad. Like, it looked really bad, which, somebody died, so it was bad.
Yeah.
But very quickly, I mean, we all remember very quickly, there was a lot of emotions, a lot of polarization,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of drama. I mean, quickly it became riots. I left social media during that time because of how, and I think others, have too, but because of how bad that got, saying stuff like these people that are rioting, they're basically doing it the wrong way or whatever. Then you get people just jumping on you. Oh, you're evil, or you're racist, or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, it got so wild.
So, it's interesting because when the Black Lives Matter thing was happening, my social media on Facebook was going crazy. I had family members for it. Some were not for it. I personally was not for Black Lives Matter. I'm for all lives matter. I thought the Black Lives Matter movement was stupid. I mean, I understand their anger or frustration, but
it got the leaders a few mentions.
yeah, I mean, but what do you think about the theory of talking about racism will only make it still be a thing? What I'm trying to say is, if we keep saying, obviously this looks really like, from an outsider's point of view, two white guys talking about racism is like
Couple
no.
couple of honky racists over here.
But what I'm saying is like, the more you talk about something or think about something, or it's like it's never gonna go away. Like if we keep saying like this, racism thing.
They say racism needs to go away, but they're giving racism all the power by continuing to push
Feed it.
these different agendas that whoever's listening, you may or may not agree with whatever these things are, but when they just keep on pushing on this kind of stuff, they're not letting it go. And I'm not saying not letting tragedies go. Like, yeah, if something bad happens, somebody should be accountable for it.
Yeah, and we're not sitting here clearly saying racism is a good thing. I mean, obviously, what happened during the Civil War, slavery, horrible. Yeah, but I guess we're
You do know blacks weren't the only slaves, right?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Like there's still slaves in Africa. There's
oh
Chinese
yeah,
slaves. There's Irish slaves. You
it's
know,
like I say, like if
it's
you,
not just black slaves.
well, it's like what Elon said. If you go back in every race, there was a slave. You were a slave at some point in
Yep.
every civilization race.
Yep.
But we're discussing is the idea of racism in society, and people, you always see that person who claims that there is racism is almost, I feel like they almost want to be able to fight for that thing. And in my perspective, it's like if you keep saying racism is a thing, or like, okay, let's talk about this. Like, what do you think about a black college or all white college or all Mexican college? Right? If you had an all Mexican college, oh, it's okay. If you have an all black college, it's okay. But if you have an all white college, that's racist because
Hmm.
of what white people have done in the past, recently in American history. How do you feel about that?
Oh man. I think everybody's gonna have. I don't think it'll be black and white for every race when they think about this. If we can have all of them without anybody complaining about the other one, then honestly, I think that's fine. But if it's pushed where only black people can, go to the school, or if only, um, let's say Asian people can go to this library of this college, like that's literally racism. Like you're fighting racism with racism, and we talk about the slaves, and then black slaves to be specific, and then
Mm-hmm.
talking about how it affected generations, and I think there is something to be said for that. I don't necessarily think that there should be like reparations, but
Mm-hmm.
you know
Why?
because my my mom's side of the family,
Mm-hmm.
uh, they basically jumped from state to state. My mom went to like 20 or 30 states by the time she's in high school, and lived in each one, not by luxury or anything. They didn't. Sometimes I didn't know if they're gonna have food for the day,
Mm-hmm.
and my mom went from nothing to middle management, comfortable life. Not super luxurious, but comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
My Almost all of my uncles also went from they couldn't squeeze two pennies together to one of them's a multimillionaire. Um, and it's just anybody that's really gonna be fighting for this racial bias thing, they're always gonna say, well, they're white, so they just had privilege. I don't I don't see it that way. Like they worked their ass off to get to where they were, and
Yeah.
my family that didn't work their ass off, well, guess what? They're living with my family because they can't afford to pay for their own fucking groceries.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's yeah. This whole, they're so hindered because of the past, and then just sit there and maybe not all of them, right? Probably it's the extreme minority that's actually doing this, but going out and rioting and poor me and living life on the streets and stuff.
Yeah.
People can say they're forced to do this, but like where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah. So I think having separate colleges for races is just stupid. I think it's dumb. I think it just keeps this ideology going of let's look at our history and let's you know what I mean. That's just to me. I feel like I'm not even just saying this because I'm white, but I truly just I hate racism, but I also hate talking about it because I want to get to a point in society where I can just sit by someone with another skin color and just treat that person as they are, which I do, but I'm saying like without that being a thought. And now,
Like the video if you hate racism, everybody.
yeah, but it's just I don't know. It's frustrating because it always has to be a thing, and you know, yeah.
So
What? Okay. So, what do you think about because Trump just passed a law? Oh, I think it just got passed about um, work in a work environment. There's no more You have to basically hire on merit now. Because I know, past jobs have had where,
DEI, no DEI hires anymore.
yes, well, you'd have to have
Those
certain,
damn planes being flown by black people just falling out of the sky lately.
yeah.
I mean that's basically what the media and I guess Trump and
Oh,
the
that's a whole different thing.
administration saying. But yeah, I mean, so DEI in school is a terrible idea.
So explain to everybody what DEI is, for people who don't know.
Diversity, equity, and inequality. Being put on the spot there, but I believe that's what it is.
Okay.
And I mean that's what DEI is.
Yeah.
There's another term for having to hire a quota of basically colored people, or allowing X amount of, I guess a better way to say it is non-white into the school, right? So let's say you're a 4.0 student and they hit their quota of whiteys, and then a 3.5, let's say Mexican dude,
Yeah.
comes there, and now he gets it over the 4.0 student just because of the color of his skin.
Yeah, and this is what angers me about this is it's stupid because, you know, I think part of what makes America great is competition. I think America is a very competitive in our history. We compete in the Olympics, like we talked in past podcasts.
I mean, it's
We have the will to win.
the American dream is based off of capitalism. If you don't have healthy competition, then you're not going to, you're not going to level up. You're not going to have these really nice things. I mean, if you look at Russia, China, all these other places,
Horrible.
there might be nice things, but you're probably not going to get to.
If you actually go, it's horrible. But so you're taking you just this is dumb. It's a dumb ideology, and from the perspective of the believer,
How insensitive of you.
from the perspective of someone who believes in this, I would assume they're going to argue that, well, you're trying to help these people get out of their poverty state that they're being suppressed in. But I would argue that no, I mean that's just stupid because you're taking away
That might be an
competition.
old school. That might be an old school or current argument, but definitely more old school. I think nowadays it's, hey, if your school or company doesn't
Oh, and incentives.
well, yeah, if this school or company doesn't, have these minority groups come in, then the company itself is going to be seen as racist and could
Yeah.
actually get tanked in stocks and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
like they feel like literally pressured, like they have to do that kind of
Politically.
stuff
Yeah.
until Trump just got in office. And I think there's a 180 and probably overcorrection, to be honest. It could be seen as, favored towards whites just because we take away or not take away, not we take away, but it's no longer, in churches and workplace anymore. But, if everything's based off of merit, then whoever should succeed will.
Well, it's like we said a few podcasts ago that it's interesting because Trump, I know in this past election, but I believe in history got the most of black and Mexican male supporters. So that says volume.
Yeah, I mean, it's super dynamic. You got people voting for him for a lot of different reasons. You got all the honkies voting for him because they, but no, in all seriousness, I mean, you have different people voting for different reasons, and I
Yeah.
think the economy is just one of the biggest ones.
Well-
And actually, listening to a podcast the other day, it really, the light bulb turned on in my head where it's when Kamala was asked, what would you do different if you were president, or if you become president on the next election? And she said she wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
Do you think anybody, even like the most far left, if they actually took a step back and stopped screaming at, children for not being gay enough, do you really think if they were to look at the economy and say that nothing was going to change, like, that's insane. And I think that was one of the biggest nails in the coffin to get Trump elected. There's a lot of other big nails, Joe Rogan, Elon, probably the two biggest. But when Kamala said that, it's just like, if there was a good argument on the left and good policy, I could be for that. I'm pretty close to the center, maybe leaning farther right on a couple things, but socially, I am maybe a little bit more center or left. But
What do you mean socially?
uh, like when people are down and out, having systems there like a safety net. So somebody has bad luck or somebody has too many flat tires on the freeway, and that for some reason cost them to lose their job, and now they're financially down because they can't pay rent, whatever. Having systems like food stamps and stuff like that available for the people in need. Now, I also think that those systems, you should be clean. You should be actively searching for jobs, like provably. You should maybe even have a job, but you can still get it and apply for it if you're not making enough money, kind of a thing. So, yeah.
So, we talk about racism, we're talking about how racism in politics, we're talking about racism in college. What do you think about the natural human being? Do you think you yourself are racist?
I think that I have biases based off of stereotypes that I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I can tell you, I have been victim of whatever you call it, hate crime, whatever. But I've been bullied just because I was white in middle school and high school. In high school, there was something called White Wednesday, Bear Creek College in Stockton, California. White Wednesday, where the black groups would go around and just jump a random white guy, no reason, just there he is, let's get him, boys. And then that turned into essentially race wars on campus. We had by my sophomore year, if I remember right, we had 2 riots, and one of the riots the principal got jumped. It was pretty insane. Like, when I say riot, I don't mean like there's a few groups like fighting. It was like the full ass school was just chaos, kind of like these videos of, maybe not 1-to-1, but like the videos of people burning down the city. Like, it was just crazy.
Where did you sit in these riots? What side were you on?
I was sitting with the other delinquents in the normal area that we usually are, and
So you weren't a
hanging
part
out.
of the riot.
We were more.
You were the good whites.
Sir, I take offense to that. I mean, I've always been a big people person, and in high school, I talked with everybody.
Yeah.
Similar to how you see me at work or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I like talking to everybody. I'm cool with being a part of everybody's group or trying to get along. I've even had, I don't know if they were in a gang or whatever the case was, but some of the black guys at school when I think it was, when I was a sophomore, actually, in art class, I'm just chilling and making the guys laugh and whatever, making the class laugh, like class clown, right? And one of them came up to me, and it took me a while to figure out what he actually meant by this, but once I figured out, I'm like, oh damn, that's crazy. But he went up to me, he's like, hey man, anybody who fucks with you, we got you. And I'm like thinking, is he being like serious or whatever? And then I thought about it later, I'm like, oh no, he was definitely being serious, like, and I'm like, I don't kick it with them after school or lunch or whatever, but in the class, it's just cool. And yeah.
So I had a friend, well, still my friend, who I asked him one day, I'm like, we were talking about his daughter, and I said, what would you do if your daughter, because he's Mexican, and I was like, what would you do if your daughter ever married like a white guy? Like, oh no, she can't marry a white guy, she has to marry a Mexican. I'm like, huh. And he's not racist. He's not a racist guy from what I've seen. So how do you feel about
Alexa, stop watching.
How do you feel about intermingling?
So
What do
I
you?
have intermingled quite often, or quite a lot for my time on this earth. Let's just say that. And
Do you?
I think that when I saw things potentially able to be serious with non-white, the first thing that came to mind to me would be, I didn't care if the skin was solid one way or another, but if they had like the, for some reason I was so worried about like the spotted skin where it's like maybe really light here, really dark or whatever. And I don't know why, but that,
Wait, before this sounds super this racist, are you just saying you were not attractive to that?
no. Like, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you
If
sound horrible right now, bro.
no, not the person I was with.
Okay.
If we were to have kids.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, I was really stuck on if the kids had like super spotted skin or like weird birthmarks or whatever, it'd be hard for the kids. So for whatever reason, that made me not want to pursue anything with somebody that's like,
You were worried that the kids would get bullied. Is that what you're saying?
yeah. I mean,
For being mixed.
I've had.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna say I was bullied all the time, but I've definitely had my fair share of getting bullied. And
Sure.
when I was younger and dumber, like now it doesn't fucking matter, obviously, right? But when I was younger, I was just like, oh well, it seemed like that'd be something that could be avoidable by not doing that. But now it's, well, I don't think it matters really at all. So
So you would say interracial marriages are good, right?
I don't. I mean, it's kind of hard to live in this world without seeing color, but like, color shouldn't matter, right? Like if you connect with somebody and
Yeah.
and you love each other and all that kind of stuff, you should go for it. I'm not in the situation right now, right? But if you're scared to be in that situation because what is your family gonna think and all this kind of stuff, mom, dad, love you, whatever, but family's not always gonna be there, and it's got to be about you and whoever you're gonna connect with, right? So if you connect with somebody that maybe isn't the same color as you, but you get along, with everything, like, you should go for it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Hmm.
So we were talking about, we're kind of starting this podcast with, our cops, do they profile, I think the idea that's kind of gotten out of hand on social media, which, what's not getting out of hand, but, our cops racist, right? So, defund the police, right? Cause that'll help, right? Less training, less manpower, right? Let's, if you think about defunding the police, or even, okay, so let's defund the maintenance department, right? So now it's just you for 2 shifts. How much extra work? How are you going to have to do? How much more are you going to be stressed out and all this kind of stuff?
Well, it's like I don't know what podcast I was watching, but what separates America from being Mexico? The police department.
That Trump wall. Police department. Well, apparently our military now.
Well, sure, but I mean, if you think about it, that's it. I mean, because we have this law and order, a fear of going to prison and getting caught. I mean, that's all it is. We don't have gangs taking over the street. I guess Mexico, you'd say cartels, but that's it.
I mean, we definitely have gangs, but I don't think that they're
not taking over the streets.
They're not blatantly flipping off the government.
Because, if it got to the point where the U.S. military, or if something got so bad when we had to end it, we could end it. Like U.S. could end it quickly. So I do think defunding the police is a really, really stupid argument. That's just dumb. And then there was the thought process of well, let's get rid of the guns and let's do tasers. Stupid. I mean, here's my thing. Like, I've never been in the military, nor have you, and I've never been in combat. But if you go, let's try to envision this. You go to war. You're in constant battle. You are in a war situation. So you're always prepared for battle. You're always prepared to be shot at. You're waiting for it. You know what's going to happen. You know you're going to see the enemy, or the enemy's going to see you. You're going to. You're prepared.
Mm-hmm.
But you're a cop. You pull over a car. You have to, go quote unquote walk up to the car. You can't prepare yourself. You can't pull out your gun. You are going to face a civilian you never met. You don't know what their intentions are. You don't know what their thought process is. You are all about reaction. So you're not in. And what I'm trying to get at is being a cop, in some sense, could be harder than being in a battlefield, because cops have to flip 180, and we're talking seconds. You
Yeah.
ever see those videos of like the cops, or they're on the like the fake shooting, like they're shooting on the screens. And like they have like civilians go and do it, and they're like the civilians always shoot like the good person, or they always get shot at, and they're freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what you're expecting a cop to do every day for the rest of their career.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say, it's
Yeah,
really hard to be a cop.
They have to make split-second decisions.
Now-
and they are the underdog because they have to be reactionary instead of proactive. They
Yes.
can't, like you're saying, they can't just pull out their gun and walk up, tap on the window with the gun, they roll it down.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, it's like, think about it in the perspective of a cop. It's like you also have to, not only are you trying to do right and be a good cop. Let's pretend you're a good cop. You also have to abide by thousands, a list of laws that the civilian can push on you, saying that you broke their law, you obstructed their rights.
Mm-hmm. Civil rights, yeah.
Yeah, so it's horrible. But you know, I'm not sitting here saying there's nothing but good cops. There's clearly bad cops.
So let's talk about a
Racist cops.
clearly, bad situation. There's been, I would probably say countless accounts of cops, beating the whoever's in handcuffs or whatever when they definitely shouldn't have been.
Dude, I just saw
there's been like literal execution style stuff that's happened. That's it's uncalled for and it shouldn't happen. And yes, that is, I would say, some form of racism if it is one color versus the other. We don't know if that's the actual motive, but it definitely looks that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
I mean, that kind of stuff definitely happens. But when when the politicians, when the media gets behind certain things and is push, even if it's not 100% clear that it is one way or the other. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, it's extremely hard to be a cop in today's society.
Actually, I'm glad she did, but my wife left law enforcement. She wasn't patrol. She was probation, right? But when the riots and stuff were happening, she was told, "Hey, if this stuff gets going down here, everybody is expected to respond, including you guys." And the unpredictability of angry people, and wanting to start a life with somebody wasn't an ideal situation. So she left that for something else. But before she left law enforcement, there was a video that went out that I think as a probation officer went up to a house, just a normal house check for one of their people. And you got that metal screen door that when you bang on it, it's loud as hell, right? And knock on it, "Hey, can you come out," or whatever. And the person just opens up the door, reaches through, bang, 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 officer down. The other officer, he can't go up there because he'll get blasted. He had to retreat or whatever. But it's like, you don't know when that stuff is going to happen, and sometimes you can't react to it, right? And then you're gonna have people that say good riddance to that white cop, but that could have just as easily been a black cop.
Yeah,
just as easily.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's just extremely hard to be a cop. And there clearly, yes, there are bad cops out there. Just like any profession, there's bad bosses, there's bad employees. There's no such thing as a perfect society.
Yeah.
But I would argue that overwhelmingly, there's more good than there is bad, and we would all hope so. And if there is a bad cop out there, you hope he gets caught and gets.
Have you ever been pulled over?
I have.
Okay, so what's the one time or?
Okay, so I've so I'll talk about the 18th birthday one. So I wasn't driving, but I was in the passenger seat. We were in a green Chevy truck. My buddy to the left of me, his girlfriend, and then my other buddy in the back. It was my 18th birthday. We were literally pulling up to my house. Cop pulls us over, gun out of the car, and she's like screaming like, "Put your hands up!" Out of the window. So my hands out of the window, and like, let me. My biggest fear in life, like with regarding to getting locked up, is I'm claustrophobic. So I can't be locked in a room like that. Just scares.
Is this room big enough?
This room's it's okay.
It's a little cramped on that side, maybe.
So my buddy gets out, has him put the whole thing, handcuffs, puts it back on the cops' cars. I mean, by the time he got out, like a bunch of cops show up, dude. I'm talking like shotguns, like all,
Jesus.
dude. It was crazy, dude. So I back up and like I'm walking backwards, and I'm like trying not to move because I'm like, dude, they're gonna this. It was a girl cop, and she was white, and like I was like, dude, is she gonna shoot me right now? Like if I make a bad move, I was like, they arrest, like basically put me in handcuffs, put me in the back of the cop car, and dude, like I'm freaking out. Not because of what she just arrested. I'm freaking out because I'm in the back of a cop car and I'm like claustrophobic. And if you ever sit in the back of a cop car, dude, it's like sucks, bro.
Could you not breathe?
I could not breathe.
I can't breathe. Let me out.
it like the window. Thankfully, the window was cracked a little bit, but dude. So, anyways, she falsely pulled us over because there was like a store robbery. I think it actually was a gas station with a similar truck, and she basically jumped the gun, and she pulled us over for basically no reason. We all got arrested. Like we basically, yeah.
And that
it was
happens
bad. A lot, dude. And
especially, I would probably. I mean, I feel like it happened with everybody, but it does seem like you see it a lot more with black dudes.
Oh,
I mean,
100%, dude. The worst part about it is like after I swear I was in the back of the cop car for like 45 minutes. I feel like, and then my mom's outside, my wife's outside, like in front of my house, because they literally pulled us over right in front of my house. Like they're all screaming, like, "What's going on? Why are you pulling them over?" Like the whole thing. And then we get out of the car, like the cops just nonchalant, like, "Okay, you can go."
Okay, never mind, guys.
Dude, like literally there was like no like, sorry for like it was just like, see you later.
Well,
like, okay, thanks.
I'd be curious, and nowadays, if they would be able to be, the book thrown at them because of that.
Dude, I kind of like thought about it, but I was so young, and it was like my birthday.
Oh, it's scary. I mean,
it was just like
you've always been told to do what the cops say, which
yeah,
I would still stand behind.
Oh,
that.
100%.
If you don't do what they say, there's probably more of a chance that something's gonna happen.
In her mind, she's like, I found the truck that just robbed a freaking store.
Yeah.
So she's thinking that we have guns, probably, and the whole shebang.
Makes me think of not the tangent, but it makes me think of when I've had a shotgun into my face. But that's a story for another time. So I have one. Well, let's see. So I've been pulled over once, but I've had to engage with cops a couple times for like house parties and stuff. But mom and dad, if you ever watch these, stop listening. But no, one time I was going on the on-ramp Hammer Lane in 99 to go southbound to Modesto,
Mm-hmm.
and that one curves, right? So I saw a car that was like wrapped around like a telephone pole, basically. As I was getting on the on-ramp, I see that. I'm like, oh, what the heck? So I like stop halfway through the on-ramp and then put in reverse, and it's curved. So now I'm trying to like reverse. I'm in my car. It's a convertible on the top. It's like you can't like see around. Like it's really shitty. For anybody that knows what a Chrysler Sebring looks like, those cars are awful. But Anyways, I was in reverse going on the on ramp
Mm.
back up because I was gonna go basically call the cops, and
Mm.
and all of a sudden there's some bright ass lights behind me, and then the old red and blue. I'm like,
Mm.
oh shit. And so, and then he's got it was the headlights, and then he's got the side just the high beam spotlight. I'm like, oh my god, now I'm tripping. I was 18, just started really getting out there, let's say, and I'm thinking, man, dude, I don't know what the hell, how am I gonna get out of this?
Yeah.
But he comes up to the window and he's like, is there any reason you're in reverse on the on ramp? I'm like, well, yeah, you see that car over there? I was gonna see if I needed to go help, but also
Uh-huh.
like call the police. And here you are, like that's probably more important than me going in reverse on the on ramp.
Mm.
I didn't say that part, but
Yeah, yeah,
but he's kind of seemed like he wanted to cock an attitude or whatever, but then he just let me go because he's like, yeah, there's a fucking car that's wrapped around a pole over there,
yeah,
so
yeah.
But no, I've had some other engagements where I had to prove to the cop that I was sober. Let's just say,
Right.
I won that battle. Let's just say that.
So have you ever had a DUI test done to you?
Actually, the one night in my whole fucking life that I was actually not drinking when I was the DD,
Uh-huh.
and sometimes I've been DD and like puked out the window, like I've drank so much, right? But no, this night I actually did not drink, and thank God, because
Mm.
so the reason we got pulled over. I was driving my buddy's big lifted truck. His tires are like not, legal or whatever it is.
Mm.
So I think they're sticking out past 4 inches on the side of the truck.
Mm.
And, I don't care for these big, stupid lifted trucks, but some guys do. So whatever. But,
Mm.
so anyway, I was driving the truck and the cop like for sure thought I was drunk. Right. And I'm like just nailing this fucking test. And I'm like, anything else you need me to do, bro? Like, I got you. And then like, you got the drunk asses like stand on the sidewalk, like the buddies and the girls and stuff,
Yeah.
from the truck. And like, they're being stupid. I'm like, you guys shut up. Like, all you gotta do is not do anything and we're good.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
be dumbasses
Yeah.
in public and
Yeah.
stuff. But no, yeah, that's the one time I got the DUI sobriety check. I can
Yeah.
tell you I should have gotten pulled over many times throughout my life. I'm lucky nothing ever happened.
Mm.
I don't suggest anybody else do this, but hey, you figure it out,
Yeah.
your path in life, but not a good thing to do.
Yeah.
So,
That's scary, dude.
yeah.
I think I drove through one DUI checkpoint, but I've never got tested. I've never been pulled over. I've never experienced that, breathalyzer or anything like that.
I like watching the First Amendment auditors and like, going up to a DUI checkpoint, basically them like kind of punking the cops like this is basically illegal. You can't actually
Yeah,
do
yeah.
this kind of shit. I definitely went through a time where I'm like watching all this kind of stuff. Now it's just like old news to me, but it's kind of crazy. Like people that actually know their rights, like it is important to flex that,
Mm-hmm.
whether, no matter what color you are, it's important that your rights are kept up.
Well, yeah. I mean, this past summer we went took a family vacation to Washington D.C. because I've never seen like everything down there. Have you been to D.C. before?
When was it?
Last summer.
No. Okay. So you went when Biden was there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he wasn't there.
Yeah.
He was sleeping somewhere. But my wife's uncle, amazing man. He walked us around and everything, and it's a crazy experience, especially going to like cemetery. We can talk about that another time. But
Yeah.
before I left, out of everything that happened there, being at his house for a week, he grew up. He's a Navy man, been in the Navy his whole life. He gave me like a little small book. It was like a Constitution that had the rights, Bill of Rights, and everything. He said, "Hey man, like keep this on you. Read it when you get bored, but basically like every man, woman, but you should know this. You should know your rights. It's important." So I took that book home, dude, and it's actually in my locker at work. I read it sometimes because, like you said, it's important. You should know your rights.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people don't know their rights, and a lot of people they don't know, and we lean on like anything else in life. We lean on other people that are so-called expertise to give us this knowledge, and I think he's right. It is important, just like you said. But anyways, so if anybody has any comments on racism or anything they want
Well, has anybody that's listening, have you ever had your rights
to,
infringed?
yeah,
Have you ever been pulled over? What kind of crazy story, was it justified? Was it not? We're new to the podcasting scene. We're really just doing this for fun. We like to talk about all kinds of things. Pretty much any topic you can think of. It might be a polarizing topic. It might be something that's might be fun, but we're gonna try to do these, get them out about every other day. Yeah, give us it's cliche. I hate it when people say it. Give us a like, give us a like. But when we're starting out, I think it is really, really important
yeah,
for
it really
that.
helps
So
out.
yeah. So all
Thank
right,
you.
bye everybody.